What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So Nilah part 2, this is what I'm going to be doing today. So in part 1 I covered her champion trailer, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, if I'm being totally honest with you. Also her champion theme and her spotlight. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through her story, look at her skins. I don't think she'll have too many, but I'll look at her skins as well, and also her story. So let's go. Okay, so this is her bio. So a confident and... wait. Slow down. A joyful woman who always wears an eerie smile. Interesting choice of words. Nilah's sudden arrival in Bilgewater has set the city into an uproar. Her duels with rampaging sea serpents defy the limits of human ability. Racing across the surface of the open ocean with a whip blade formed from glittering prismatic water, she scales the great beasts before dramatically slaying them, pausing only to thank her worthy enemies for their efforts. Any threat taller than a house is guaranteed to draw her into combat, and the deadlier and physically larger the threat is, the more determined she becomes to challenge and destroy it. Okay, so this is probably this example here where she's destroyed a flying ship. Okay, so on to the next. Her strength and origins are shrouded in mystery, because obviously when we saw the champion trailer, she has some kind of possession. She has at least a sidekick demon as well. So it'll be interesting to find out more about that. Yet the truth known only to Nilah is that she once had a different name and lived a very different life. The precarious child of a large Cathcani family, the girl who would become Nilah was not a warrior at all. Rather, she was a lanky bookworm with an interest in myths and legends. Cathcan had known relative peace since its neighbours Camavor's collapse almost 1,000 years prior. Okay, and had no further need for great warriors or storied heroes, or at least that's what Nilah believed. Wishing the age of heroes had never ended, she collected and obsessed over colourful tales of old epics of great beasts and shining warriors who clashed beneath the eyes of the gods, back when the world was young and humanity's enemies were 1,000-fold. She read of the Mad King Viego and his tragic fall, the genesis of the first dragons, and the foundation of the universe in the Cathcan tradition. Nilah memorised each in turn, and knowing in her heart that their colour and magic were more than simple fiction. So, one story in particular was her favourite, the Cycle of Ashlesh. Now, is this the demon that's with her? It spoke of the fantastical Lord of Joy, Ashlesh, a many-limbed beast who menaced the world along with the 9 ferocious siblings, hungered for primal joy. The demon of joy, really? Ashlesh attempted to consume the realm of the gods, but the gods struck the monster down, trapping it deep below the earth in an endless shimmering lake. Maybe that's why she can walk on water, within the 7th layer of the underworld. There it would be guarded by a mythical order of heroes. Wow, this sounds like a story in its own right. Wait. An order of heroes that, after unravelling the story's many riddles, Nilah realised was beneath her very feet in the heart of the Cathcani capital. Okay. Overcome with excitement, she struck out to find this hidden order, to learn its secrets and perhaps even stand among the heroes as an equal. And then she was gone. All knowledge of the girl was gone. Her face, her voice, her true name was erased from living memory. What? Records curled and evaporated. Writings vanished from walls and texts, and words fell on the tongues of her friends and family. It was as though Nilah had never been born at all. Okay, let's find out why. The woman who resurfaced 10 years later was a stranger to her homeland, unbound from the world she knew, yet possessed of a strange smile and unending careless joy. Right, that makes sense, because yet possessed of a strange smile, so she's possessed. So obviously this demon of joy possessed her, or has some form of possession over her. Hence why this careless, unending joy. There's worse ways to be possessed, let's put it that way. Whatever happened to her during her long absence, she would not say. Perhaps she met the mythical order after all, and they trained her in the art of magic and war. Perhaps she stood face to face with the primordial demon Ashlesh, yet battling in the whatever that is darkness for a decade before finally emerging triumphant. Perhaps this wasn't the girl at all, but a pretender wearing her flesh. That would be kind of interesting. Like, she's died. She died 10 years ago. She's gone. And this is just, someone else. Or maybe the truth was somewhere in between. Whoever or whatever she was, she began calling herself Nilah, the name of the legendary river of fate. And then her work began. What is her work? Possessed by acrobatic strength and wielding a liquid blade of incalculable might, which I don't like. This liquid blade, I said in the part one, I don't like. They're designed for her. The options they had for her, every single one was better than the one they actually released. And the weapon itself, the designs were better as well. I like it when it looks more like a sword than a whip, in my humble opinion. Anyway, she embarked on the conquest of the greatest threats of ancient myth. Grandmother Viper, what? The inconceivable progenitor of all Carnivorian dragons. Okay. Muego, demon of change and scourge of the Carnelian Valley, the mad demagogue. Wait, so there's all this going on. Nabevelictus, perpetrator of countless atrocities. So all these different people that she's coming for, I imagine. Each new foe rises against Nilah in challenge, and each is snuffed out in a ferocious battle of colour and fury, dazzling all witnesses. So she's OP, not just in the game, but also in the lore as well. Right then, okay. Nilah's own legend grows with every victory. And with it, an epic tale has begun to take shape following her journey through strange lands near and far. And at her side is the power of Ashlesh, right, itself, which Nilah wields against other evils that might one day threaten the safety of Cathcan. In her heart is the memory of what she has lost and the knowledge of what is to come, driving her to face greater and greater opponents whenever they might be found. Whatever happened to that lanky girl who was buried in books, Nilah now faces her future with unbridled bliss. Her mere presence inspires others to fight alongside her, while her deeds ensure that people remember the hero she has become, even if they cannot remember the woman she once was. Facing the mythological villains of Runeterra with unerring glee, she will challenge the end itself if it means she can protect those who cannot protect themselves. Right, interesting. So now we get a bit of an understanding of why she's always smiling and always like it says, the endless glee. What's interesting, it says, is that she disappeared for 10 years. No one can remember her. Right, not even her parents. No one can remember her, but she obviously has a motive. She seems to be fighting for good, protecting people who cannot protect themselves with the power of this demon. She sounds OP. Cool. What I would like, though, is once to go a little bit more into the lore, I'd prefer it if she died. Like, the person, whatever she was called before, is dead. This demon's possessed her, and the only purpose for her is her body. The demon's just using her body to move, basically. She's possessed. Well, not even possessed. She's just, yeah. She's dead. That's what I'd like. But the way I think it's going is it's going to be a little bit of a mix between the two. She controls some aspects of the demon, and it controls some aspects of her. This kind of like nice balance. Maybe similar to Vex. Maybe similar to Cassadine and Kaiser. Maybe not Warwick, but you know what I'm trying to say. While for me, I prefer it if she's lost, she's gone, and it's literally the demon just inhabiting her body and doing what it wants. Anyways, what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to her story. Now, interestingly, in fact, before moving to her story, these are the connections to her, Viego, which she studied when she was younger. Ilawe, interesting how Ilawe is connected to her. And also Graves. Now, I've seen the picture for the actual story, so I know Graves, I think, is going to be in that story, hence the connection there. Not too sure about Ilawe. So, without further ado, let's go. So this is what I'm talking about. This is an intimate evening at Oyster Bill's. Okay, how intimate? Let's go. So this is Graves doing his thing. She's rocked up, and he mentioned in it as well that she's obviously not from Bilgewater, she's from beyond the sea. So she comes from another place that I assume is in Runeterra. So, okay, right. So you will, well, in fact, once again, see this look here. This look here is better than the look I saw in the Champion trailer. Just better. It's just better. The Champion trailer just was a miss for me. Anyways, you can clearly tell I'm a little bit bitter about that. So let's just move on. Let's just move on. So the story: you will know joy. You will be a hero, and you will pass into legend as all great heroes do. The only price I ask for such treasures is you. The Cycle of Ashlesh, chapter 10, verse 7. And we obviously know that she's versed in these chapters because she studied it before she became at least partially possessed by this demon. Bilgewater isn't particularly known for its cuisine, which makes Oyster Bill's oysters Oyster Bar, an interesting conundrum. Located in one of the city's poorer pockets, the establishment gained an impressive reputation over the years, with the entire venture held aloft by local celebrity and proprietor Oyster Bill. So this is a person? Oyster Bill. Along with the oyster man's love for seafood, obviously, and exaggerate stories, he also enjoys renting an extra room above the restaurant for various drifters and vagabonds. One such person being his most recent guest, an athletic warrior with few belongings and an uneasy ear-to-ear smile. Clearly this is her, who just kicked Malcolm Graves horizontally through the dining room wall. So that is this, and is it? So okay, nice. So she's kicked him through the wall. Whatever these little things here are smiling, and what we're going to read next is what happens after this point. So, I didn't even do anything, Graves moans, shifting his toothpick to the other side of his mouth. You want one of the other ones, Senna maybe, or Rango? Your lack of foresight now threatens millions of innocents, Malcolm Graves replies, a cheery sounding voice in an unfamiliar accent, because she's not from there. I have questions about the little present you left on my shore, Viego of Camavor. Ooh, the voice owner moves purposely through the cloud of dust and debris, her liquid whip blade suspended in a glittering arc around her. Each step illuminates the dingy restaurant as brilliant indigos and gold cast strange dancing shadows over everything. Messy black hair frames a thin face and violet eyes, all underlined by an oddly exuberant expression, while her side rests a glowing sphere held by two hands cast from a foreign metal. This is Nilah, and Graves has been trying to avoid her for weeks, and it hasn't gone well. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Part of her kit is this orb that she has on her hip as well. I wonder that's where the power comes from, or where this possession is controlled or housed. Anyways, so where are we? Here we go. Nilah arrived in Bilgewater seemingly overnight, and her presence immediately raised eyebrows across the city. From her odd habit of reciting various textual passages throughout the day, always while making complicated gestures with her palms, to her strange seven-hand motif armoured forged with a pearlescent metal no one recognised, or her insistence that she hailed from Kafkan, even though the last full-blooded Kafkanai hadn't stepped foot on Valoran soil for over 700 years. Okay, so what's her motive then? I wonder what she's trying to do. Then she started killing sea serpents. I've answered my question here. 40, 50, 60 fathoms long. When any ship was threatened, Nilah rushed down to the docks and soared across the surface of the sea with a wide, calm smile, her weary frame launching itself towards the withering necks of her foes. As word spread about her, she began to ask the port's grateful sailors if they knew anything about so-called other order of sentinels. Right, and that was when Graves started running. He should have run a long time before that, trust me. Now that Nilah's found him, she doesn't seem happy. Or rather, she isn't acting happy. She seems certainly cheerful, with her pleasant grin that never breaks and her demeanour and voice that stays locked in unnatural positivity at all hours of every day. It's this particularity that makes most people unable to read her intentions. Yep, true. Besides her pathological need to fight very big things, and that makes conversations with the woman hard to navigate. Don't know nothing about Viego. Grave lies, stifling through the rubble for his gun. I don't think that's going to help you. I believe it was you who sealed him in Avalodra. Am I correct? Nilah smiles, cheerfully taking two steps forward. Her legs move in a curious artful pattern, like a coiled snake about to strike. Don't lie, you are man-sized. Killing you would be very easy for me. Not that easy, Graves snorts. New destiny finally in hand. Saving the moment to turn the tables, he fires 3 rounds directly into Nilah's torso. Oh, straight murder. I'm not going for the kill. 3 rounds. Unless you're telling me something about his gun that I don't know. New destiny finally in hand. So maybe New Destiny has 3 bullets in the... maybe it has 3 in the clip, not 2. Or at least he thinks he does. The bullets seem to move around her, or maybe she moves around them like Neo. It's like firing his gun deep into water, as though Graves finally inexplicably finds inexplicably unsettling. Nilah's wide smile twitches as she strides as at the sides of her mouth. Unbeknownst to Graves, she is unable to feel anger or any emotion beyond a radiant joyfulness, but she knows she would want to right now, were it possible. So basically, she's that's kind of torture. The only emotion you can experience and portray and feel, by the sounds of it, is joy. Wow. Okay. That sounds horrible. She whips the gun out of his hand and knocks it to the far side of the restaurant before bisecting a metal table next to his head with a brutal second strike of her whip blade. For a brief moment, Graves swears he sees phantasmal blue hands in the air around her, which we saw in a Champion trailer. But maybe this is his imagination. Okay, he's been getting hit in the head a lot lately. An interesting armament, Nilah muses. I imagine it works well against lesser opponents. So what does that make you, receives Graves. But Nilah doesn't answer. Instead, she sheaves her weapon with the sphere, offering a brief recitation under her breath that Graves can't quite make out. My apologies. Based on your fighting style, you are not the Sentinel I am looking for. The Sentinel. So the Sentinel of Light? Maybe? Is that right? Sweet Tommy Kench, aren't you supposed to be some kind of hero? Graves yells, sitting up among wood fragments and twisted metal. I'm a hero too, when viewed in a certain light, so lay off, will you? Graves exhales. Damn, nice magic though, I gotta respect it. Nilah offers another recitation, her hands shifting as she mouths the words beneath her breath, smiling ominously in the dark. Thank you, Malcolm Graves. I gave much to wield it. I would prefer if you'd call me Graves. I wouldn't, replies Nilah. There's a great power in a true name, Malcolm Graves. Remember that, if you say so. Graves looks behind Nilah. Your folks in the back hear that, or should we speak up? Right on cue, a voice rings out from the street. We're here for the Serpent Slayer. Okay. Nilah turns to face half a dozen mercenaries peeking through the hole she ripped in the wall. Her eyes drift past the men to a massive pale something shifting on the planks behind them, and her heart skips a beat because obviously, kind of a little bit like Set's Ultimate. He goes to the biggest, the biggest in the room. So she is often followed by disgruntled killers, but she hasn't seen one of these before. I am she, Nilah replies, her attention fixed on the creature. What do you want exactly? You're losing our bosses a lot of money. Think you can flood the market with serpent catch? We own those docks and those ships as of now we own you. What is that creature? Nilah asks Graves, ignoring the mercenaries. Deep Eater, mutters Graves. They chow down on anchor graves that sink in the sea floor. Gives them a taste for people. Mean and real dumb, so these idiots drag them up and sick them on marks they don't like. This isn't going to work out too good, is it? Nilah's eyes flash with excitement. How big do they get? I don't know, 10, 15 O's? They look pretty big. Interesting, she whispers. An enemy of worth. Hey, shouts the mercenary. When I'm talking, you listen or you die. Understand what I'm saying? Yes, I believe so, replies Nilah, dipping her hand into the sphere at her side. I am Nilah of the 7th layer. May our battle sing across history. Nilah whips her blade outwards, its glimmering water forming two sharpened prongs that dance through the air with ghostly radiance. Whatever the mercenaries were expecting, it wasn't this, and they mutter nervously as the weapon shifts and expands. They don't know it, but none of them will leave this encounter alive. Damn. The 7th layer is not simply a title, but a mythical order steeled to face opponents of unimaginable power and scale, because obviously in her bio she was slaying some beasts, some demigods. So I don't think these are going to be too much of a problem. Self-trained killers are merely pebbles on the road to true challenge. And tonight, this so-called Deep Eater is the only foe of worth, a massive isopod with sickly, flesh-coloured palates and a mean-looking maw of bloody teeth. From the depths of Nilah's being, a hungry joy begins to swell. What happens next is a blur. Nilah bounds across the room with frightening speed, cutting through her unassuming opponents while wearing the same cheerful, unmoving smile. Each strike of her blade connects with the force of a towering ocean wave, yet the dancing water is sharp and polished stone. Nilah glides between blows, beautiful and deadly as her enemies are blasted apart. You can see already. In seconds, all that is left is the Deep Eater. Considering that the words 10 O's had suggested a beast of much larger proportions, this one isn't too bad. It's about the size of a covered wagon. Not the most exciting opponent Nilah's ever faced, obviously, but there is Bilgewater. It was something that would get people talking. They'd remember this victory, and that was all that mattered. Nilah leaped onto its back, her formless blade flickering in the night air. Beast of the deep, may you find joy. I don't think he's gonna. She sings and slices the monster clean in half. Okay, so what's this now? Chapter 2? So, what exactly are you looking for? The Sentinels, asked Graves. Yep, we want to find out why. Consigned to either having this conversation or being cut into little pieces, we disbanded mostly, and I pawned all my stuff so you're not getting those magic rocks or whatever. Viego of Camavor will free himself someday, okay? On a side note, the way he was trapped was trash. That whole build-up to the Rune Nation, everything about it, the release of all these champions for it, it was such a letdown how it all ended. But anyway, let's get back to this. Nilah replies, her smile now kind, friendly even. The magic binding him is Hellion, and it is weakening over time. My people are in unimaginable danger. Hey, we beat him once, replied Graves. He's strong, but we can probably do it again. He is not the true threat, Malcolm Graves, says Nilah. Ooh, he's not, okay. His ruinations write new magic into the world, and that drives demonkind berserk, even to stir their primeval forebearers. 10 lords long forgotten, she continues, tapping Sphere to side, who must never be allowed to wake. Right, okay, demons, huh? Says Graves. You're not a demon, are you? No, Nilah laughs. Not entirely. The ascetic performs another hand gesture, reciting something under her breath. As she speaks, Graves gazes at her sphere of prismatic liquid, which seems to be drawing him in. An unconscious smile curls at the edge of his lips as high-pitched whispering laughter rings in his ears. It seems like the mental hands are almost offering it up to him. Don't look too closely, Nilah warns, and Graves snaps back to attention. The beast is always hungry. Nilah claps her hands on her hips. But the hour is late and I fear you have no further answer to give me. I will retire to my room, she says, matter of faculty, walking past the confused Graves as he circles the damaged dining room and climbs the restaurant stairwell. If you encounter any monstrosities of note, please come find me so I can slay them. If you encounter Oyster Bill, tell him that I apologise for tonight's damage. It is good to meet a fellow hero, Malcolm Graves. A door closes upstairs and the woman is gone. Graves flicks his broken toothpick to the ground. Bitten through in all the excitement, he reaches for a replacement but finds none, so instead gazes quietly out onto the street where 6 dead bodies and 2 halves of a giant marine louse are scattered. The Sentinels ruined my life, he says to no one in particular. Neat lady though. Neat lady though. Okay, so that was really good. So we got quite a detailed backstory from her bio and an in-depth story from the story as well. So this nicely builds into what we saw in part 1, explains a little bit more about her. Interesting that the only emotion that she can express while being possessed by this demon is joy. But what I like about it is, what I like about it is basically, even though it's joy, it kind of makes it even more scary because this demon that's kind of controlling her, I forgot what it's called, it seems quite sinister as well. You know, it's fighting these other demons and she's fighting for good and all the rest of it. But it definitely sounds like it's kind of got a sinister streak to it as well. And I like that. Something that's pure joy, but is also kind of evil. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Because you saw that example there, didn't you? He was looking into the orb. A bit like Saruman in Lord of the Rings, where you're looking at don't look at the eye, because if you look at it for too long, you'll be possessed and be taken over. And that was what was going on there with Graves until he kind of snapped out of it. So that's cool. And interesting to find out what she's looking for. We're getting a little bit of explanation of Viego's going to be released again. This is why she's coming to balance that out and protect people. And she's looking for the rest of the Sentinels. Ooh, okay. Decent. That was better actually than what I expected it to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish off very quickly with her skins. I don't think she'll have many, but let's go through the ones she does have. Let's go. Okay, so she has, by the looks of it, 2 skins here. Obviously her base skin, so let's go through this. Nilah is an ascetic warrior from a distant land seeking the world's deadliest, most titanic opponents so that she might challenge and destroy them. Having won her power through encounter with a long-imprisoned demon of joy, she has no emotions other than unceasing jubilation, a small price to pay for the vast strength she now possesses. Challenging the demon's liquid form Channeling the demon's liquid form into a blade of unparalleled might, she stands defiant against ancient threats long forgotten. So I like where this is building, what this is building up to, the release of these other 9 demons, and that's going to be a problem. And she's obviously the balance to that. So I like that. Also, the look of her, this concept, this artwork is really, really good as well. Ties in nicely to what we talked about in her bio, her character, and also the story as well. And then the only other one we have is this one, Star Guardian Nilah. A powerful outer guardian who patrols the wider universe, Nilah has faced multiple reality-ending threats and returned alive, making her a living legend among her peers. Asked to act as a teacher to the new generation, she has reluctantly accepted her new responsibilities, though if a particularly big monster appears in VC, she always calls dibs, tying in with obviously her character as well. So that's cool. And the look is, okay, the looks decent. Star Guardian, overall, the Star Guardian theme, I like it. There's better themes for me personally in League of Legends. I mean, one of them just off the top of my head, Blood Moon. Blood Moon is popping. Anyway, there's loads, but it's okay. It's okay, and this is pretty decent if you compare it to the other Star Guardian skins I've seen so far. So yeah, I think I'll leave it here today, guys, in this one. Pretty quick review. This is the part 2. If you've not seen part 1, feel free to check that one out as well on Nilah. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.